My older sister-in-law is trying to name my new baby. I'm 32 weeks pregnant with our first child, and my sister-in-law, husband's only sibling, is crossing a few boundaries. She has 3 children, and isn't planning on any more. When we met with her, and told her about the baby, she didn't react. No congratulations, just okay, when is it due? I know I might sound like a hormonal mess because I am a bit. It's just getting a little too much for me and I feel like I have to defend my rights as a new parent. I've listed the current events below. After finding out about the baby, she's let me know a natural birth is the only way to go, and that she is very opposed to any drugs. She brought over her baby's old things when I was 6 weeks along, which is very kind, but we live in a 1-bedroom condo, until our new place is rebuilt after some flood damage, and there is just no room, so it's taking over the living room. She lives in a large home, and could have held onto it for a while. She called her mom, who told my partner I wasn't grateful. She's started a Facebook chat group for us to name the baby, meaning my husband, herself and me. I'm not okay with this being a shared decision with her. It's very personal to me. She's bought us a little outfit for the baby to come home from the hospital in. I've been keeping my eye out for a homecoming outfit, and it's important it's something I've chosen. She started a private chat with me directly on Facebook, said I know you need the money, so I'll give you $500 to name the baby. I didn't respond, but I think Facebook told her that I saw it in real time, because she just continues. No, $600? No response from me. $700? No response from me. Okay, $750 is all I can give right now, so I think that should get me middle name rights too. I just ignored her. Ultimately, these may sound like minor grievances, but they are all exciting little decisions for us to make as new parents. I'd like some privacy, and have explained how this is affecting me to my partner. I feel as it's his sister, he needs to find a kind way to tell her to back off. He's told me I'm trying to turn him against her. I feel like an ignored baby incubator. Please let me know what you think. In summary, my sister-in-law is pushing boundaries, trying to make decisions for our first child. She's too involved and I need her to back off. My husband thinks I'm trying to turn him against his sister. Dear husband going overseas, and mother-in-law mimicking me. I don't even know where to begin with this. Over the last few years I've had a generally okay relationship with my mother-in-law. She started a few things here and there, but never big enough to warrant a genuine reaction from me. She's recently been far more invested in our kids, and actually spending time with them, so that's been really nice, but for about 2 months now things have started to take a really odd turn, and it's gotten to the point that even my husband has commented on it. Basically, my mother-in-law seems to be trying to mimic me, in every sense of the word. It sounds incredibly narcissistic when I type it out, to assume she'd be doing this, but the feeling is there nonetheless. It started out small. I have been pretty big into Korean skincare for a while now. I regularly share things I find helpful with my friends and family, and gift things I can't use. She fully adopted all my favorite items and routine, like straight everything I use and wear. She copies. Not a huge deal. I liked we had a similar interest, and something to bond over, and chat about. Then came the hair. I went from my normal 6-year red to jet black. I just got the bug, and went for it. Literally the very next day, guess who is on Instagram with jet black hair? She even went as far as to come over for a visit specifically to ask dear husband if he loved her hair, and if she looked nice, then feigned ignorance that she forgot I had just done mine. Still though, not a huge deal. We laughed about it because it was genuinely plausible that she didn't pay attention. Plus I've been guilty of seeing someone's hair, and loving it, and wanting to change mine. Then came the plants. I have way too many plants. I mean a lot. It's a problem, but my husband regularly tells me he finds it cute how I obsess over them, so he enables a way. Mother-in-law out of nowhere texts me to tell me she wants a full-fledged garden. The works. She needs all my advice to do it. Okay, again not too bad. She knows I garden, and have a vested interest in plants. This is another thing I can share with her, and it's a great hobby for anyone to pick up. Then it starts getting weird. She gets literally all the same plants I get, and exclaims she doesn't want help anymore because she knows it all. Okay. Whatever floats your boat, mama. Then she starts posting pictures of plants my husband has gifted me after I post them with captions like, "Got these babies from me for me, #PlantMom." This lady regularly kills every plant she's ever come in contact with, but again not a huge deal. Plants have become a cool new thing, and it's really not a bad hobby, so good for her I guess. We ignore it. A few more things like this happen, but I feel like I've rambled, and you've got the gist. The real part I'm perplexed about is dear husband's upcoming deployment. It's been a mess from the get-go. She can't remember anything anyone tells her if it doesn't directly involve her. She's forgotten, and asked about his leave date a million times, But now suddenly it's the worst thing that's ever happened to her. I don't know if it's because it's just now become real to her or if it's for attention, but it's driving me bananas. She regularly talks about bombs, and if his dormitories will be bomb-proof in front of the children, which pisses me off to no end. We have to constantly remind her that she isn't to be posting his info all over her social media for sympathy either. They obviously don't give the leave dates out for valid reasons. But she does know the area and general time, and I'm 100% sure she'd post it all. Lots more little mimic things begin popping up, really small minuscule stuff. But it's gotten to the point that my husband begins to go, what the heck is happening? Finally, it gets to a point that I really lost my crap. She's speaking to him about the area he'll be in, which is honestly about as safe as any deployment can get. We try to soothe her by letting her know he isn't in a tent out in some desert war zone. He'll be able to make calls home, and we can send him packages. Just the usual reassuring stuff. Out of nowhere she asks if he's stationed next to, insert large city name. He says no, that he isn't incredibly far away, but the way it's set up he wouldn't be able to physically get there on his few off days. She says, well, I'm going to take a plane down and visit you anyways. I'm sorry, what? We both sat there open-mouthed for a good minute before I finally scooped my brain back into my cranium and asked her if she'd just announced she'd be taking holiday down to see deployed dear husband. She said, yes, that's exactly what I mean. I'll just take a plane down for the week and stay in hotel in city name and meet you when I can. Of course he says, Mom, you can't just come round for a fun vacation. I'm deployed. It's an operating military base in a foreign country. She throws a fit. I said, well, mother-in-law, what do you propose to do if you got there? Send me and his children pictures? No worries, Dad is fine. Here's some snaps of him. Why on earth do you think you'd be the one visiting if that crazy idea was even viable? We change the subject, and the rest of the visit goes okay. She says her goodbyes, and then proceeds to text him on her drive home about how she will be expecting a call from him every day too, and how she's going to also be suffering while he's gone. Here's the thing, I get it. As a mom I do. You don't stop babying your kids because they get older. Deployments are hard on people not used to them. Hell, I'm from a military family, and this isn't my first time through it, and I'll still find it hard. I get reality doesn't always hit people slowly. Sometimes it comes with a bang. But has she lost her ever-loving mind? I'll fly over to visit you, call every day. He has 2 children, mother-in-law, who will miss him very, very much, who will have their whole routines turned upside down, who will feel his absence every day. You get to keep on. Nothing about your home life or daily routine changes. It's perfectly valid that you'll worry for your son, that you'll think of him. But to somehow make this situation so awkward for months beforehand, and then immediately make it about yourself now that the real time is coming up? No, not to mention he is the one deploying. Not you, not me, him. Did it even occur to you he might be genuinely scared and nervous? That maybe he needs reassurance instead of spending all his time consoling you? You're his mother. Buck up, and be even a little bit strong for him. Yeah, we had a serious discussion about it last night, and dear husband seems to be of the same impression as me that this is definitely an escalation in behavior lately. He's very worried she'll behave poorly towards me once he's truly gone. But he says he fully supports me in blocking and silence if I feel it's the best option. When I type it all out it seems rather silly, and not as serious. But having it happen over these last few months has really put me on edge. It seems like every conversation now seems like a test or double-edged sword, and nothing is ever innocent anymore. It's all been rather odd and uncomfortable, and I can't tell if I'm just reading into it because of nerves or if I'm truly justified to an extent in thinking this is off. Extremist Christian in-laws couldn't separate the church from the family, willingly let me volunteer 9 hours of work before telling me I wasn't welcome at the event after the work was done. I had married into a Christian values family. I'm talking the extreme side. My ex-husband-in-law's entire family founded and owned a local church. Every single one of his brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles or cousins had some role to play within the church. Pastors, preachers, gospel singers, you name it. I was expected to also play a role now within the church that I had been welcomed into the family officially by marriage. I became a kids' church teacher's aide. As time went on, the wool was being pulled away from my eyes slowly. Not one of his family members had a job. Yet they drove several cars, lived in private estate housing, all their children went to private school. His cousin even owned a jet and a boat. How could they afford on this? Definitely not on welfare, let me tell you that. Of course we all hear about those classic "they don't have to pay taxes, they are rich because they feed off the poor, they are scammers and frauds," and that's exactly what this was. It became increasingly hard as all of my time and energy was spent at the church. It wasn't just the Sunday service that I had to attend, but everything else as well. That included community dinner night, Bible study, women's Bible study, Friday youth group, church camps, you name it. Because of this, I did not have time for a job. The church was a priority over a job to my in-laws, but who was going to pay my bills? Certainly not them. There was a point in time that my husband and I almost got evicted because we were weeks behind in rent. We were on the verge of homelessness. I had no choice but to get a job, and so I did. This wasn't one of those 9-to-5 stable jobs. It was odd hours. You took what you could, even on the weekend. This infuriated my in-laws. How could money take priority over God? Am I right? I worked a dead-end, minimum wage, fast food job, long hours, crap pay. I would do open shift. The sun wouldn't even be up when I arrived, and it would be dark by the time I left. On the days off I was exhausted, and the last thing I wanted to do was haul my ass out of bed the next day at 6 a.m. and drive 20 minutes to go to church. Within a few months I just stopped going to church. The atmosphere was fake. It basically only consisted of his massive family in a cult-like fashion. There was even a rule: do not tell any newcomers that we are all related, okay? It freaks people out as people would ask me if I knew anyone, and I would say, oh yes, of course. That's my brother and sister-in-law, those are all my nieces, oh yeah, and over there is my cousins-in-law, this is my mother and father-in-law. They could all see how bonded we were as a family. No wonder they would run for the hills. Eventually my father-in-law confronted me about my absence within the church. He told me in an extremely stern voice that if I was to be a part of this family that I was required to attend church unless I was violently ill. I had told him our circumstances, but he didn't care. He simply told me to change my shifts and put down in the books that I under no circumstances was available on Sundays due to religious commitments. I unwillingly agreed to do so from now on. As time passed over the next several years, I feel my presence was unnoticed. I felt almost invisible when I was doing my duties as a submissive Christian wife within the church. But as soon as I stepped a foot out of line, all hell broke loose. I was juggling my job as well as the church, but it still felt unbalanced. The more I stayed, the more I realized that my values and morals as a person did not line up with these people. I'm LGBT friendly as I am bisexual myself. I'm tolerant of other people's religion. These people were not. The things they would say that they would do to their own young children if they were gay would churn your stomach. My ultimate decision and realization after all these years of being a Christian was that in fact, I was an atheist, and this path would get me nowhere. So, I laid low for a while. My presence did not go unnoticed. I contacted my sister-in-law to go for a coffee date because I had something I would like to speak to her about. Cue the day of our meeting. I told her everything, my thoughts, feelings, and my decision to leave the church, although respected my husband's decision to stay and attend on weekends without me. She smiled at me and placed her hand over mine and said, "Oh honey, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I get it, you're stressed, but don't go making such rash decisions, okay? Things will be okay. I'll pray for you." I was deeply enraged that I was being spoken to like a child, that she wouldn't respect my decision, and she acted like I was full of crap, and someone spoke on behalf of me, that I didn't actually want to do what I was doing. News within the family spread like wildfire, although they never really made a conscious effort to try and make me stay. My father-in-law flat out told me that I was going to burn in hell for all eternity, so that was lovely. But I expected it, and knew my actions would result in this due to their own personal religious beliefs. What I did not expect is that they couldn't separate the family from the church. The church was the family. Slowly, but surely I wasn't being invited to birthdays, Easters, family game nights or Christmas get-togethers. It broke my heart. For years I had worked my ass off for this family to be approved and accepted by devoting everything I had into the church. Eventually I had to accept this, that they would no longer consider me a part of the family since I wasn't associated with the church. Come the day before Christmas Eve, the church was holding its annual Christmas community dinner. Tons of food, music, prizes, events for the kids, decorations. It was amazing. Every year before this one I was warmly invited to help. Any help was wanted with such a huge event. I had time off, so I messaged my cousin-in-law if it was okay for me to come over and give a helping hand. She said of course, any help was welcome, and she would be happy to have me. So, early morning I headed over. The vibe was cheerful, everyone was having fun, but working hard. In total I believe I put up around 6 massive Christmas trees and decorations. As the day went on, I was tired and tried to leave, but was always met with, "Oh, that's cute. Sorry, but we really need help with putting up this tent. Just keep helping us." Before I knew it, I was sunburned, heat exhausted, and I had been there a total of 9 stinking hours helping them prepare for this event. Once everything was set up I had a chance to sit down with my cousin-in-law and chat. I had suggested to her that in previous years I volunteered as a face painter for this event for free for the kids, and I would be more than happy to do it again. She took off her glasses and rubbed her eyes with a deep irritable sigh. "Look, This is a Christian event. You aren't Christian. We can't have you here having that sort of mentality and views around potential newcomers at this event." I awkwardly replied, "Well, yeah. But I'll be face painting children. I'm not going to go around telling people I'm an atheist. I'm sure most of the public community who are coming tonight aren't Christian either, so why is it an issue?" She hissed, "It doesn't matter. Your kind aren't welcome here." I stood up, walked off before screaming, and pointing to everything around me that was decorated. "If you didn't want me here, then why let me do all of this for you?" and stormed off. After that day I was completely disowned from his family, and that took a massive toll on my husband. I'm not saying it was the main reason for us divorcing, but it was definitely a huge part of it. My toxic mother-in-law I'll call favoritism Fanny. For a little backstory, my husband and I have a 10-year-old son from my previous marriage, and a daughter together that just turned 1. My husband's brother has a daughter that is almost 3, and she is the golden grandchild. I'll call her Perfect Patty. I adore Perfect Patty, and she's a sweetheart, but spoiled rotten to the core. From the beginning, favoritism Fanny didn't seem super excited about my pregnancy, but helped a bit here and there with a few things, and helped decorate for my shower, etc. The day my daughter was born she didn't even come to the hospital, but came a day or so later to see her. Her husband, Demon Dave, which is my husband's stepfather, and stepdad to both my husband's brother, never bothered to come to the hospital at all. I didn't think too much of this at the time. We ended up having to drive over an hour with a month-old baby so Demon Dave and brother-in-law's family could meet her. Demon Dave and favoritism Fanny are over the moon with Perfect Patty, and have been from the start, which let me say is totally fine with me. They are grandparents, and that's how it should be. By the time my daughter was 7 months old, favoritism Fanny had come to the house a couple times, and watched my daughter, and when I had surgery she came to help me out for a few days during that week, which I appreciated very much. Demon Dave came with her once. During all this time I had started to notice that neither favoritism Fanny or Demon Dave announced her birth or had posted any pictures of my daughter on social media, but constantly posted pictures of Perfect Patty. I became a little upset with that, and it made me start to examine other things. So as I'm seeing them post pictures with captions, like "my angel," blah blah etc. of Perfect Patty, and waiting on them to just bother to say anything about my daughter, I start getting more and more angry, and I decided to talk with my husband. He decided to have a talk with his mom, and the excuse that was given was, well, she's not at a fun age like Perfect Patty, and that I never sent pictures to Demon Dave. Okay? I constantly sent pictures to favoritism Fanny. That made zero sense as to why they never announced her birth like they did Perfect Patty or anything similar. After the talk, Demon Dave started sharing pics of Perfect Patty off sister-in-law's Facebook, which he could have easily done from mine or my husband's. So because it was really starting to make me mad, I unfriended him. He then decided to post a couple pictures of my daughter. This past Christmas, we went to their house along with brother-in-law and sister-in-law and Perfect Patty. It was nice until presents were opened. I should also note the attention was on Perfect Patty the entire time, and comments kept being made about things being bought for Perfect Patty, and things she liked, etc. Favoritism Fanny spilled the details about how much she had bought and done for her, which kind of floored me because almost nothing had been bought or done for my daughter. Demon Dave kept making comments to me saying things like, "Grandpa is going to buy Perfect Patty a karaoke machine when he goes back to the store because she deserves it," and just things like that. I go to use the bathroom, which is an earshot of the living room, and my daughter and Perfect Patty are on her lap. I hear Demon Dave say, "Perfect Patty is our girl, isn't she? She's so perfect. No one will ever change that." Definitely upset me. Fast forward, and they never reach out to see her, but one time, and still posting nothing but Perfect Patty, and react to 0 pictures of my daughter, which I make sure to tag my husband in so they see everyone. My daughter's first birthday comes around, and they are here for her party. Demon Dave doesn't interact with my daughter at all, and during opening of the presents, favoritism Fanny talks the entire time with sister-in-law about all the things she had bought Perfect Patty, and shared that all the clothes she bought my daughter she bought doubles for her, which is fine, but my issue is during the year they make it known that they buy so many toys and clothes for her, yet absolutely nothing for my daughter. And for a little push cart that my daughter got, they stopped everything to take it from her to check where it was from so they could buy Perfect Patty one. Also, anything my daughter got, Demon Dave made loud announcements like, "Patty, Grandpa will buy you one, don't worry," etc. Let me make sure to get across that I love Perfect Patty and want her to have attention and gifts, etc. I even bought her something to open at my daughter's party. I'm just disgusted at the blatant favoritism. I just want it equal. I hope I have gotten across just how bad it is. But I just want it to be equal. I want them to love my daughter, and want them to want to see her, and spend time with her. It's so bad. I know as she gets older she's going to want to know why Grandma and Grandpa don't love her as much as Perfect Patty, and that's not okay, and I won't let that happen. My husband just tells me not to worry about it. But I try to make him understand how much it will affect her as she's older. I don't know what to do because I don't feel like I should have to beg them to love our daughter. Frown. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.